Hello everyone, welcome back to Group D once again, and another late night video here. It's always nearly the wee hours of the morning by the time I get to do these kind of things. Nice and quiet though, it's the only time we can do it. Today we have this 4A GE converted Starlet that we got in to do this work for the customer. Customer has been gathering the parts and dropped off engine, gearbox, engine mounts, things like that to us. And it was our job, get it in, get it going, get everything working. And yeah, it's been a nice little project, nice quick project, and just a sweet car that I hope the customer is really happy with. We did the exhaust on it, other bits and pieces. I'll try and show you guys underneath. I'll try and get up in the ramp and show you underneath as well. But let's take a look at the engine bay and see the conversion and how we fitted it with some cool 3D printing stuff. Right, let's take a look at the engine bay. 4AG is in there, sweet as a nut. Really wish this was an option back in the day, but however, this car is so nippy now up through the gears. It's quite low geared, it's so nippy, kind of around town and stuff. But is kind of screaming a little bit at 60, 70 miles an hour, so maybe a longer ratio diff is needed. But engine bay wise, this is what we ended up with. So what have we got? We moved the battery from here to here using the original battery tray. Knocked it off of this side, bolted it in through this side, nicely reused. And the major thing we did here was with the 3D printer. So we printed these little adapters. They now let the Starlet upper stays work on the Corolla Rad. The Corolla Rad was the best option for this, just with the water pipes being on the correct side. That was the major thing. A big issue you'll have is with a fan, but the fan goes in on the passenger side and misses the water pump pulley. There's quite a bit of room there, even though it is tight. We bolted the fan through the side of the Rad, and then you have the true core plastic kind of stays, cable tie things, just holding it in the middle, so it's nice and secure. These don't need a lot of cooling, so that fan is suffice. We put an automatic switch in it so that it's just trouble free and doesn't need to be monitored. So yeah, it's a small port 4AG with the small port manifold after being modified beforehand, and just a completely standard engine. Not really that many challenges with putting it in, mainly wiring and stuff. The gearbox is a little bit tight. Check this out. Orion here printed a eccentric TPU bush here for the clutch cable to miss the intake manifold. So that was the coolest thing really of this build. Is I'm not sure how we would have done that before we got the 3D printer. It was a complete mess there, hitting off the intake. It's still right there, it's so close. But yeah, 3D printer saved the day and made it just work. We also modified the bracket here for the throttle cable so that it has the right throw. That's the Starlet one, and it was wrong, so we had to modify the bracket. There was a lot of bits and pieces in 6 banjo here down to the A86 fuel filter, which is below. Lots and lots of bits and pieces. You don't see the time going on it. Moving the battery, let us put this K&N filter here, and it just looks a bit more factory, but yeah, not too much to go on. The heater pipework was a complete mess. Trying to make it go over across the back, you can see the bit of red silicone hose there. So the customer provided red heater pipes for A86, and we had to modify and make things work and blah blah blah. That was pretty time consuming. It is very tight there, but of course you have to have a heater. Customer supplied the engine mounts here. They went straight in. The gearbox mount was a bit of an issue. We had to make one from scratch, but as I said, I wish they came with this engine. It's such a nice package. And they're the details of the engine bay. Nice and simple, and should be totally reliable. Here is the interior, E86 steering wheel on this. Very JDM interior on this KP61. It's nice that it has an intermittent on the wipers and stuff that you wouldn't have got in the Irish cars, I'm sure. The gear lever, this is a T50 from a Carina style, I believe, with the shorter back housing, so it fits in the KP quite well. And the lever was M8, which is very strange. I don't think I've ever seen an M8 one, so we had to print the Group D gear knob in M8 trade to go onto it, because we couldn't get any other gear knob on it, so it just made it nice. 3D printer again in use. And yeah, just a sweet car. Nothing too crazy on the interior. Let's start it up. As with any 4AG, it likes a little bit of throttle with your foot to go. There it is. There's the electric fuel pump. Stone cold, sweet as a nut. Here we are underneath the Starlet with the 4AGE. You can see here we made these little legs to mount the 86 rad in there. Hold it nice and tight. There's the T50 box. We chose to modify the original gearbox mount, make it somewhat factory looking across the car. Then the customer provided the exhaust manifold and exhaust system. Manifold had to be modified here. The flexi was destroyed in the second-hand manifold, so put a new one in, and we had to make this mount across here to hold the front of it, and then we V-banded it there. And then back here we had to kick it. It was hitting the diff, so we kicked it away from it, V-banded it again, and onto the exhaust, and it worked out pretty good. The main thing under here is the fuel pump. So this Cytec fuel pump and mount that we put in through the floor here. Problem with out tank pumps is they make a lot of noise. This one isn't noise free. It's one of the quieter ones, but it's not noise free. So it goes off here, up and around and down to the original pickup on the top of the tank. So being a carbureted car originally, it has no in-tank pump. I did want to put a pump into the tank for quieter operation, but that turned out to be not an option. There's just not a big enough opening on the top of these to do it, and there's no room between the tank and the floor to put a unit from another tank into it and have the pipes come out the top. There's just no room. So we had to go with this out of tank one, so we double cushioned it. So there's two kind of cushions here. This is to quieten it down and dampen it. We also 3D printed a TPU piece here, which you can't really see. Oh, you can now. So that's TPU there. So we isolated it from the body, and then the TPU is flexible, so it should help again to not transmit the noise of the pump up into the car. So doing everything we can to make it quiet. So it's just on with Jubilee clips and onto the original line. It's nice and high anyway, nice and high above. So it works out pretty good. So that's how we made it electronic fuel injection. And yeah, pretty simple here compared to what we're usually up to, but just a nice 4AGE into the Starlet. The sump misses the crossmember suite. And yeah, it would have been so nice to have this as an option back in the day, factory, but just wasn't to be with the time frame, the Starlet being a bit older than the Corolla. But yeah, that's the underside. And as I said, nice and simple, nice conversion on this KP. It's a nice simple one for us. Still takes a lot of hours. I kind of insist on keeping these cars for a week and driving them after we've done everything, and then I can get to the bottom of all the faux pas, little nooks and crannies, anything I'm not happy with, and we address it. So this one is now really good and ready to go home with no issues. This actually could be used every day. It's that on the button. So looking forward to getting back to the customer and seeing what he thinks of it.